All right. Well, we are here today. This is another short video that we're doing for our sponsors and our supporters. We're here today with Dee and Rob Saari. Dee and Rob are mom and dad to Ryan. Ryan was one of our first students to go through the residential program, and Ryan is out there now thriving on his own. And hopefully, we'll get a chance to speak with Ryan next. So, again, these are just really short videos. And so let's turn it over to Rob and Dee. And why don't you guys just tell us a little bit about your story? And what I mean by that is kind of the background of, what your life was like prior to NTC and kind of how NTC has kind of helped you with your journey.
Sure. So Ryan was diagnosed with autism back when he was probably about 3.5, almost 4. And so we've been navigating various tools, various resources to help him be successful. And it was always in the back of our mind, what's going to happen when he gets older? Yeah, who's going to take care of him? How is this going to work when we're not here anymore? And so we fast forward to him exiting high school, um, dealing with transition issues as he's exiting high school. We knew that he was able to be successful in a job. He had a driver's license and things like that. But these independent life skills just weren't, he just wasn't where he needed to be in order to move to his own place on his own. And I think maybe he needed a little time to mature as well. So we were at a loss to what to do next. Does he live in our basement? Do we rent an apartment, right across the street and keep our eyes on him? And then we ran across the NTC program when this was probably 5, 6 years ago now.
Yeah, in its
Uh,
infancy.
yeah, yeah, and we had heard about it, but it hadn't yet come to the Omaha area or had moved beyond the Lincoln area. So we kind of kept our eyes on things. Ryan started taking some classes, and fast forward, he finished the classes and said he wanted to live on his own. So he and his roommate Skylar were the first two students to complete all of the classes and end up living in um, the residential program in Lincoln. And he spent a year in Lincoln living there, and he did just great. Um, he and Skylar really learned a lot. There's so much that goes into that residential program in terms of having the hands-on experience. The skills that he and Skylar learned in the NTC classes were practically applied throughout the year they lived in the residential program. And so they were able to complete that. And then the next issue that kind of concerned us is, okay, hopefully he doesn't want to move back home into his old bedroom. And he didn't. He had so much confidence. He had lived for a year on his own, and he knew he was going to be able to live on his own. And so he went right from the residential program apartment in Lincoln to an apartment here in Omaha, where he's been living with a roommate who is also on the spectrum, and they've been thriving. They send us pictures of things they're cooking, and they pay their bills. They're not calling me asking about questions because they've been through it all. They know what to do.
Dee and Rob, you chime in whatever you want, but you tell me, were you ever worried in this process? Let's talk about the concerns and all of the worry that you as a parent. Okay, so let's get real here for a minute. This wasn't all unicorns and rainbows,
Oh,
right? From the transition, into the apartment, the residential program, and then afterwards, right? Were there any bumps in the road, and how did you kind of navigate that?
you want to talk to that?
Well, I think one of our fears is that I think it was good he went to Lincoln because if he had a conflict of some sort, he just wouldn't say, fine, I'm just going to come home now. It was a 45-mile drive.
Yeah.
And I think that helped him. Uh, I think he wants to find the solutions himself now to things rather than reach out to us every time something comes up, which is good. Specific bumps in the road, I can't think of them all.
Well, I mean, there were a few challenges. He came down with COVID in the first couple of weeks that he lived there. And the challenge as parents, especially for me as a mom, was to not just run up to Lincoln and, make sure he was
Mm.
okay. I had to really sit on my hands and let him navigate these things. There were a few other things that happened. And again, from a parent perspective, I just had to let the program do the work, and let Ryan do the problem solving with his teachers rather than, historically parents are being the ones stepping in and helping the students problem solve. And we didn't have to do that. He was well supported by the teachers that helped him navigate these challenges.
And the one thing that kind of sticks out is, you know, as you were learning as parents, as Ryan was learning as a student, we are learning as an organization, right? So we are providing the curriculum and the instruction and monitoring the instruction as it goes to make sure it's still highly efficient and effective. But we're still learning. And so when Ryan graduated, we were in the middle of trying to figure out, well, what does this transition look like now, right? It's just because he's graduated doesn't mean we just say goodbye and never say hi to him again.
Yep.
And it's not just from us, but also from Ryan's perspective, right? So can you talk about the transition from graduation to living in his own apartment? That was another transition for you.
It was. And he was again well supported by Jesse and Troy as he had to change his utilities and figure out a roommate agreement because now he has a new roommate. And again, I had to really step back and just let him work on that and not go back into my old role of being the fixer, the person who's always been there navigating those challenges for him. And then what's really cool is the friendship that has continued with Jesse and Troy. Brian will take pictures of the things that he's cooking and he will send those to Jesse and Troy. He was over here last night for dinner and he's more motivated now to learn how to cook. I tried to teach him every which way to cook before he left. He didn't want to hear about it. Now he says, I need to know how to do this on my own. So last night he cooked dinner. I was, I had all the ingredients, but he cooked it and sent a picture to Jesse and Troy.
Awesome. I love to hear Ryan say, I need to know how to do this on my own. Because I mean that is a mantra that I know that Jesse and Troy just say over and over and over again, right? This is something that you need to do on your own. And they work them through the processes. And it's just great that Ryan now says that out loud, right?
Yeah.
I need to learn how to do this on my own.
He does.
So in the last couple of minutes here, it's always a wonderful opportunity for our parents or students to have a direct link to our donors and our supporters, who've given of their treasure over the past many years to help support our programming, and it's a great opportunity for you. Do you have anything that you want to specifically say to our donors since we've got them on the hook here?
Well, to me, the program works. We've seen it firsthand. Couldn't be more excited to see that the program is growing. And we had a meeting with prospective parents the other day, and I said, if any of you are sitting on the fence, jump that, take that jump, take that leap of faith. So that's.
Well, and Ryan is 27 years old, and that was the time all those years back when autism seemed to have exploded. And so Ryan has always been kind of at the forefront, so to speak, of what's next in the autism world. And it is so important that we continue programs like this so that students coming behind Ryan have access to this programming and they can be living successfully on their own as they navigate this. I want to say thank you. Sorry about the dog. So
These videos are real, man.
I know, right? I just want to say thank you because it's a program that we could afford. There is nothing else like this that is available to families at our income level. And I hate to think that there are other people that wouldn't have the opportunity because they can't afford it. So I want to say thank you to our donors and to our teachers and to Stuart for the vision, and I'm just so happy to be part of the organization as it's going forward.
Dee, thank you so much. And I know Rob had to leave. He's working with a contractor there, but make sure you thank him for us as well.
Yeah.
And we'll be sending this out to our donors. And it's just such a privilege to talk to you again and just to hear about Ryan's progress and how he's thriving. So thanks
He
for
is
being with us
thriving.
today.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.